back to this episode of Fireside Chat. If you have not previously watched the episode before this one, I highly recommend it because it will help you to communicate the point that I'm going to make in this video to the last video. In the last video, it was how to build your homestead A to Z, start to finish. In this episode, we're going to go over how you can make money off of that process, how you can live and homestead for free, and possibly cut out the job, the 9 to 5 in the city, in the cubicle with a boss that you don't like. So step one, going back to the previous video, you're going to be making money off of vegetables, fruits, and possibly flowers. By having a garden, vegetable garden, a fruit orchard with trees, and a flower garden, you're going to be able to have extras in all three of those categories in order to sell. Another thing you can do to make money off of that, you can make seedlings. As in one of my earlier videos with my transplanting of my bell pepper plants, so far it looks like all 16 are going to hold. All 16 are going to make it. So I'm going to look at that next year. I'm seeing ads on Craigslist and things where they're selling little 6-inch seedlings come spring, and I'm going to start mine like January, February. So they got tiny little bell peppers, little green beans, cucumbers, etc. for spring. So people will spend a little bit more money to buy my plants because it will have little vegetables on it, and instead of waiting 3 to 6 months for them to bring it, or 3 to 6 months, 2 to 4 months to bring in a harvest off of the little 6-inch seedlings somebody else sells, within a month, month and a half, they're going to have food coming off that plant from mine that they can eat and enjoy almost immediately. You can also do saplings with your fruit trees. That's another thing to consider, a little bit harder. And then during holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, you can make bouquets out of your flowers, out of your garden. You can sell those. There's always a farmer's market or some type of little stand in all different towns throughout the U.S. and I'm sure around the world that you can go and sell your items. The next step was the honeybees. Honeybees produce what? Honey. Honey sells. There's a lot of people that like to buy honey that's organic, that's within so many miles of their location, just due to the fact that it helps with allergies. And they think it's healthier for them, which I can't say it is, but I believe it is, and I can't wait to get my honeybees because I have allergy problems. Honeybees also produce wax, beeswax, which you can make lip balms, chapsticks, candles, etc. with. That's another source of income. Then we go on to your chickens, your ducks, your turkeys. They provide meat, they provide eggs, and if you're doing an arts and crafts thing, they provide feathers. You can also hatch out babies. You can sell them on Craigslist or a newspaper, baby chicks, baby ducks, baby turkeys. You can also sell full-grown chickens, ducks, and turkeys that are egg layers. And if they're laying eggs, you can get $20, $25, $30 a chicken or duck or turkey. Turkeys, you can fetch more money around Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter when it's holidays and people are out buying turkeys. Sometimes you can get up to $50 for a farm-raised turkey. That's another source of income. Then you move on to your goats. If your raw milk is illegal in your state or country, you can sell the milk as animal grade for people's pets, dogs, cats, etc. If it is legal in your state, you can sell milk, goat's milk. You can make goat's milk butter. You can make goat's milk ice cream. goat's milk cheese, goat's milk soap. You can make all these products and sell those. That's a source of income. Then you move on to your hogs. With hogs, you got babies you can sell. You can sell full grown for butchers or roasting pigs. Or you can have them butchered and sell it as meat. Bacon, hams, roasts, things like that. The key part is, in the previous episode, I showed you how you can raise pigs for free. So, my scenario, next year, 2018, I'm going to be getting pigs. Not sure what part of the year, but I plan on getting pigs, and I want to get 4 pigs. I'm going to have 1 for me. 1 I'm going to give to the butcher to cover the butcher fee for my pig. So the butcher will get a free pig in exchange for mine. And the other 2, I will either sell to the butcher as meat, or I will sell to clientele and people that purchase things from me. Now, when you're doing that, you're going to offset the butchering cost of the last 2 pigs by passing that cost on to the customer. Another thing you want to remember, if you're going to sell meat to customers or milk, you want to get money up front. The reason you want to get money up front is because you have upfront costs. That butcher is not going to butcher that animal, give you the meat, and wait a week or 2 weeks for you to collect the money and bring it back to him. You're going to have to pay that butcher up front. So by doing that, you also save yourself in the long run. Because if that person doesn't give you that money up front, and you say, okay, Sally, Sue, and Michael are all going to be buying this much meat. Then you go to Michael when the meat's done and say, oh, here's your meat. And he goes, oh, I had a flat tire and my starter went out. I don't have the money. Well, you're stuck with that meat and you pay the butchering costs. So you eat that cost, and that's going to add up to more money. More headache, more problems, more pain in the long run. This way, collect the money up front. If they have flat tires, whatever, it's all right. They're going to get fresh meat. They already paid for it. It's something positive. They got fresh food. You don't necessarily have to be a salesperson. For me, I go to the hot springs. I go bowling. I do different social things. And I tell people my story. I'm a homesteader. I got my homesteading channel on Today's Homesteader. People watch that and they say, hey, do you have an extra dozen eggs this week? And I tell them I do. Now with American greed, people will say, try to get every dollar you can out of everybody you know. That's the greed of the human mind, and for that reason, I don't understand it. What I do understand is helping people spend their money wisely. And I'm not saying that to get around the greed. I'm saying that because everybody you know goes to the grocery store. Everybody you know spends high prices on vegetables, fruits, and meats. That's the most expensive things at the grocery store. Why not provide that service for people? Provide them with great vegetables, great meat, great eggs, great milk, and other products for less cost, that's healthier, more organic, and has better flavor. You go to the grocery store, the vegetables are blah, have no taste. Tastes like fake vegetables that you play with when you're a kid, except they're real vegetables. With me, I'm going to take Walmart grocery bags. I'm going to fill them up with all different types of vegetables and sell them for $25 a bag. You cannot go to the grocery store and get a full bag of vegetables for $25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to my clientele that I already have. People that are buying chicken eggs from me that are looking for other stuff, I'm going to introduce them to vegetables. Introduce them to seedlings if they want to start homesteading or gardening at their house. Then, when I get pigs and bees next year, I can go ahead and show them the honey taste test. I can tell them I have pigs and I'm going to be doing bacon and hams and roast and things like that. That's going to be an avenue for selling. The key is that 9 to 5 job that you work is something you don't like. And everybody's afraid of change. Don't know why it is inside of us, but everybody's afraid of change. To leave the city, to go to the woods, and try something different is the hardest thing for people to understand. But by setting up your homestead, A to Z, start to finish, like the previous video, you are producing all this meat, all these vegetables, all these eggs for free. If you do not produce enough to feed the animals and you have to end up buying feed, you are still homesteading for free, because when you sell those eggs, when you sell that pig, when you sell that bag of vegetables, that is going to cover any cost that you have. And the key is to have your homestead running like an ecosystem. Everything takes care of everything. You take care of the system takes care of you. You put your time and effort into that system where you gain 100% of every hour, every minute you put into your homestead, that homestead's going to produce. It's going to produce eggs, vegetables, meat, etc. That's going to have an income for you. With that income, if you do everything right, that income will not go into the homestead. That will cover your bills. That will cover your cell phone, your car insurance, car payments, rent, utilities, etc., etc., etc. Because at that point, your homestead is purchased for cash. The infrastructure is done for cash. The animals are already obtained for cash. And everything is in its ecosystem. So at that point, the only money you need are for your bills. Your cell phone, car insurance, gas for your vehicle, and a little bit of maintenance money. But by selling all this stuff on the homestead, you can almost be at that point of leaving that 9 to 5 job. At that point, you got to sit down and figure out what your bills are, what you're bringing in off the homestead, and see if at that point you can take off. Another great thing you can do to bring in money from the homestead once you have it set up, and one thing I'll be looking into, is I'm going to start advertising classes in probably 3 to 4 years. I want everything done on the homestead. I want to have the bees, the hogs, the gardens, the whole 9 yards before I bring people to my homestead. What I'll do is I'll set up a class. Say I'll have room for 10 people. I'll have tables set up. I'll have sitting areas set up. And I'll do a 3-4 hour class on the homestead. $50 a person or something like that. I'll have to work the details. I'll make a video when I finally get to that point in life and decide. But that's another thing. While you're working that 9 to 5 job, if you got that homestead going, then guess what? You turn around on the weekends, your days off, you run a class. That brings in more money. That helps you transition to more sellers, or I should say more buyers, because at that class, those people are probably going to be like, oh, I only have chickens. Would you be interested in selling some of your pig meat to me? Could I buy some goat milk from you? And by holding those classes, you make money off of the classes, and then you turn around and you can make a lifetime of income by people buying healthy, good food from you until they get their homestead going. And the thing is, there's new babies born every day. There's new people coming into the age where they're on their own. And there's always going to be a buyer. If there wasn't always a buyer, grocery stores wouldn't be around. So yes, you may lose some clientele by helping them to get into homesteading, but you're going to have new people that come along. Every year, somebody's going to hit that age that they're ready to learn about homesteading. And at that point, you can be a good guide, you can be a good chaperone, and a good teacher. And it's all about helping the community, helping this world. And if everybody goes back to homesteading, it may be a little bit more work. It may be a little bit more inconvenient. But the thing is, you're a little more personable, and a little bit more sociable. Because your living, your means is by talking to people. And that's one sad thing today with today's society is you sit on a subway car, you sit on a bus, you stand in line at the bank or grocery store or at a restaurant, and nobody talks to anybody. You go to dinner with your family, everybody's on their cell phone, nobody's talking anymore, nobody's communicating. Technology is good for certain things, but I think we've abused it, and it's to the point that we've lost our human connection. We've lost touch with nature. We've lost touch with this earth. And one thing I can say is, if you can't take this journey and become a homesteader, I hope you can at least enjoy this journey that I'm taking, and you can take this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Chat. I had one of my watchers and listeners ask me to do a segment on Fireside Chat on the troubles, the problems, and the hardships of transitioning from city life to homesteader life. So our next episode will go out to that listener, and I will break down my thoughts, my visions, and what I see as people's concerns and my hardships of transitioning from the city life to the homesteader life. Have a good night. Hope you enjoyed.
Live happy, live free. That's the only way to be.